I need everyone's attention. If you are between the ages 18 to 100 years old, this message is for you. What is the problem? You are registered to vote, but you don't. What's that all about? Come on. Did you know younger people are less likely to vote than older people? The Center of Voter and Democracy reported that young people are much less likely to vote than older ones. From 1972 to 2012, citizens 18 to 29 years old turned out to vote at a rate 15 to 20 minutes points lower than the citizens 30 years or older. Women voter turnout has surpassed men's in every presidential election since 1980. Really, guys? But an interesting tidbit of information is that older women are actually less likely to vote than older men. So come on, guys, get out there and vote. These are the voting rates over from 1972 to 2012 in increments of 4 years. This is 45 to 64 years old at 63.4%, 65 years old and over is 69.7%, and 25 to 44 years old is at 49.5%, and 18 to 24 years old is at 38%. All the explanations for some young people are they do not have much time, or what difference does it make, my vote doesn't count. However, perhaps the most depressing explanation that in many places young people do not feel that there is anyone worth voting for. Imagine being called to fight, kill, or even die for your country. On the other hand, not being allowed to vote. Throughout most of American history, 18-year-olds fought in our wars, nevertheless had to be 21 to vote. Granted, that changed in 1971 when President Nixon certified the 26th Amendment, lowering the voting age to 18. The words of President Nixon, the reason I believe that your generation, the 11 million new voters, will do so much for America at home is that you will infuse this nation some idealism, some courage, some stamina, some high moral purpose that this country always needs. Voting arguably may be the most important civic opportunity given to citizens in the United States. Today, registering to vote remains the basic rite of passage for most high school seniors. The previous graph indicates that youth turnout has steadily declined since 1972 when 50% of 18 to 24-year-olds voted. By 1988, youth voter turnout plummeted to 36%. 46 million young people ages 18 to 29 years old are eligible to vote. Involving young people in elections related learning activities and discussion can have an impact on the young person's household, increasing the likelihood that others in the household will vote. In immigrant communities, young voters may be easier to reach, are more likely to speak English, and may be the most effective messengers within their communities. Also, there are major differences in the voter turnout amongst youth subgroups, which may persist as these youth get older and the gaps are not reduced. A growing body of researchers shows that new voting twice are more likely continue voting for life. The challenge then to sustain or increase youth participation in a year with a different political environment to help young people develop a lifelong habit of civic participation. Voting is a habit forming. When young people learn the voting process and vote, they are more likely to do so when they are older. So getting young people to vote early could be the key to raising a new generation of voters. Another intriguing statistic shows that young people between the ages of 18 to 29 make up 21% of the voting eligible population in the U.S. Furthermore, voting numbers have always been a cause for concern in the USA. The United States government is always trying to come up with new ways to encourage people to vote. Did you know that a slight change in voting numbers could affect the entire outcome of an election and the course of world politics. President Obama managed to win Pennsylvania, Florida, Virginia, and Ohio in 2012 presidential election. This was primarily due to the youth vote. Statistics show if Mitt Romney won these states, he would have become president and then altering America forever. The United States of America was formed on the basics of wanting a vote. Since then, various minorities have fought and died to earn the right to vote. It is the duty of an engaged and active citizen to vote in any and all election. American citizens also have to keep in mind that voting is the only say they have in the government. The United States government influences everything from how money is spent, how taxes are used, and what happens in a community, to how much funding each jurisdiction receives. By not entering a vote at each election, a citizen essentially waives their right to have a say in what happens around them. It also carries a risk of pushing certain issues. For instance, if the electorate consists of mainly of older voters, participants will focus on the issues significant to them at the expense of issues essential exclusively to younger people. After all, voting is a meaningful part of being an active American citizen. It's the one change for each person to register their opinion about politics and how they believe. The country should advance statistics indicate how a slight change in the number of voters can have a major impact on the outcome of an election. When people consider the influences of America and the free world, a single vote can alter the course of history. As my 94-year-old great-grandmother would say, if you don't vote, don't complain. By all means, don't complain.